I appreciate all of you taking out the time to be here and listen to how a tagline transformed my business and led to record growth. I think that's why we're all here today, right? And we've been here for the last few days, really trying to network, talk with people, learn from people who might be doing things we want to do, or maybe we're already doing them and they're doing it better than we are, and we want to learn. So that's why I'm here. I just happen to have something that worked for me, and I'm going to share it with you. And a good portion of this we really leaned into over the last year, which I'll talk about from our first FinCon last year in 2023. So let me introduce myself. I'm Larry Sprung. I'm the founder and wealth advisor of Midland Financial. We're located in New York on Long Island in Hauppauge. We're pretty much halfway. If you think about going out from the city to Montauk, we're pretty much halfway. There's still a long way to go. I know a lot of people think we're a long way out there. There's still a long way to go to Montauk, but we're out there. This month, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary in business. Yeah, we're super excited about that. And we're celebrating with all the families we serve. So, listen, I'm a little bit different than probably a lot of you in terms of I'm a content creator second. I have a wealth management practice first, and then the content creation is really second, which now, because of this tagline, has really helped start feeding our wealth management practice. So let's just jump right in. The tagline that changed my business is right here. What did you do today that brought you joy? It's everywhere. I'm like the joy guy now. And really what it's about is we're all trying to do similar things, right? It doesn't matter if you're trying to get somebody to work with you to build a financial plan. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get somebody to be coachable and you work with them. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get somebody to work with one of your affiliate partners from your content creation. We have to evoke emotion. We have to evoke feeling from those that we want to work with. And I just told you, I shared with you, I've been in business 20 years. We've been leaning into this for the last maybe 3. And it really evokes emotion, and I'm going to share that with you. And I think each one of us, probably the vast majority of the people in the room, are far more creative than I am and far more creative than I will ever be. And you just have to find what is your tagline. What is your evoking emotion or phrase that's going to bring people out and know, like, and trust you more. So that's me. That's my information. We'll have there'll be a QR code at the end. I know somebody else also asked me about the presentation itself. I did upload it to FinCon. I'm hearing it's not on the app, and that's fine. If it ends up on the app, great. If it does not, I'll give you an email address at the end, or you can email me, and my assistant will be sure to forward you the presentation as well. So embracing joy and joyful growth. I mean, we all want to grow. Well, we want to do it in a joyful way. And as I said before, working in this joyful environment and this one simple question, what did you do today that brought you joy? It makes people think. It makes people think a little bit differently. And in a profession where I'm in, where it's a very crowded market, Google financial advisor and put in your town. There's a lot of us. And, what we all want to do is we want to go into that blue ocean strategy, right? We want to find that clear area where we can live and thrive and separate ourselves from everybody else and all the noise. And I'll tell you this one line has done that, because most of the families that we serve work with other advisors before they come to us. They've gone through the numbers. They have some formulation, hopefully, of a financial plan. Their assets are being handled in a certain way. But you know what that's all about? That's all about the numbers. It's really all about, well, how much do I need for retirement, and coming up with a number? How much do I need to send my child to college? It's a number. But that's not what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's about that family. Why do they want to send their child to college? Because they want to experience the joy of watching their child cross that stage and get the diploma, right? If they want to reach retirement, I'm not a big fan of retirement. I think it's an outdated concept, but there are still people that actually want to retire one day. And if they want to retire, what does that mean to them? Have they thought about what they're going to do with those 30, 40, maybe in some cases 80 hours a week to replace work, right? It's about what these dollars that they're accumulating and saving today, what they're going to do and how they're going to bring them joy. The numbers are the numbers. Anybody could do math. Anybody could plug the information in a calculator. But you sit down with a family and you start talking about how you're going to effectively bring them joy to their life using these dollars, and it's a whole different conversation. These joyful discussions has become a key strategy for understanding those true decisions, you know? And you have the ability, in my profession, we really want to dive deep with the family and understand what their true goals and objectives are. And at the end of the day, that joy is the overriding factor. We have families now, we're a little bit different, I think, than a lot of wealth management firms. A lot of wealth management firms do not know how to speak to the next generation, right? They have either grandma and grandpa or mom and dad, and they're having a difficulty going from grandma and grandpa to mom and dad, or mom and dad down to the grandkids or the kids. We've successfully cracked that code. We have 3 generations of many of the families we work with that we're working with today. I can say that we're working with grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and the grandkids. And the reason why we're able to do that is a lot around this. Because a lot of the kids who are much younger than I am, in their 20s, in some cases in their late teens, they'd have no idea what retirement looks like. They have no idea what their goals are, but they know what they want to do and what they find joy in. They know that they want to go to, Luke Combs' concert, which we'll talk about later, right? They might find joy in that. Or they know that they really enjoy going up with their family to the family cabin. And you know what? They don't know even what's involved with it, but they want to make sure that that family cabin stays in the family. So this question, what did you do today that brought you joy, has allowed us to evoke that emotion, connect with the next generation. And what that's allowed us to do, we all are trying to do the same thing, right? From a business standpoint, it's much easier to either keep a relationship that we have and continue to dive deeper with them, or have them introduce us to somebody that's just like them, that when they walk up to us, they're ready to go. They know exactly what you're doing. And that's what these emotional evoking questions allow us to do. I think that a lot of people are really comfortable talking about this because it's a real disarming question. It's not some hard question. Sometimes it is. Some families do have a difficult time thinking about this because they've never thought about it. All they've done is, the families we work with, they work really hard, right? They're going to work every day, raising a family, paying a mortgage, doing all these things. And a lot of times they're so busy, they don't even understand what brings them joy because they haven't had a chance. And sometimes we have to have that meeting. Maybe it's twice, right? Because maybe it's introducing the question to them and then having them go home and seriously think about it. And it's become a method for them to understand what this money is and how it is a tool for them. And I think one of the most amazing things that we've seen is we have certain families, depending on how they are and their makeup, some spend beyond their means, some don't, right? And what we've seen now is some are really taking a look and saying, okay, when I spend this money, is it bringing me joy? Before they go ahead and spend it. And if it is, maybe they're going ahead and spending it. But maybe if it's not, it's getting them to rethink about what and why they're spending this money, right? And you want to talk about, we all want to get paid as well, right? Everybody want to get paid here? Anybody not want to get paid? I mean, right? So it also helps us justify that payment, right? It's in my business, in wealth management, right? A lot of people, you've probably heard, people invest money, and in a down year, how do you justify getting compensated when a family may have just lost money? This is how you do it, right? I can't control what the stock market does on any given day. Can't do that. But what I can do is make sure that our families are set up appropriately and that we're having these conversations about what's bringing them joy each and every day. And when they're looking at their portfolios and looking at what's going on in them or the markets, okay, so it's down. But you know what? We know Larry and his team have our best interests at heart because he's looking at it from a joyful environment. Make sense? As I said in the opening, it's really become our brand identity. I mean, I don't know how it happened, but it's happened. I've become the joy guy. And I'll share with you a couple of things, right? So I walk through airports quite a bit, usually for business conferences, more often for my kids' hockey games. If you follow me or know anything about me, I'm usually in one of three places. Definitely never at home. I'm not there. I'm either at the office, or I'm at a hockey rink, or I'm at a conference like this speaking and being involved with others, learning and trying to develop my craft as well. But I wear this shirt at many different places, and I'll share a story with you because I think it's a funny one, and it was at the beginning of my book. I was in Orlando at Disney World with the family, and we were on line for a ride and attraction, and we were at the front of the line, and cast members looks me dead in the eye and goes, "I ate a bag of Hershey Kisses." And I'm sitting there and I'm looking. My kids are behind me who are now 18 and 21. They were a few years younger. My wife's behind. What the hell is she talking about? And then I don't know who said it, but one of them said, "Look at your shirt, dummy." I was like, oh. But that's the emotion that this has evoked from people all over the place. I walk through airports seeing people stare at my chest. And I have to remember, I kind of take a look to see what I'm wearing to make sure that it's a shirt. I have people stopping, taking pictures. I'm sitting on the airplane, always in the aisle seat because it's not too comfortable in a middle or window, but in the aisle seat, people walk up the aisle and they start blurting out what found them joy that day. Literally on the plane ride here, the flight attendant, I was in the bulkhead. She looked at me and said, "I can't wait till my shift is over. I'm going to run 10 miles. But this is the emotion. So what you have to do is you have to find that word, that phrase, what brand you can apply to yourself that can evoke that same emotion that people are so compelled to say whatever the answer to your question is and get it out there. So people seek joy, and this is a crazy stat, but we had to check it a few times. Average firm last year in the wealth management field grew by 3%. 3% net new assets. That's basically taking out whatever the market's done and basically new money in, money out. What does that net out? 3%. Our firm grew 24%, and it's trending higher. And we attribute this to really this phrase, this mantra, this different way of doing business. And we're all in the same boat. We want people that we want to work with, number one. We want people who know, like, and trust us. And we all want that cycle from them going from suspect to client as short as possible, right? I mean, you don't want to spend 9 hours to find out you got a no. You'd rather get there quickly or get to the yes right away. So the way you do that is you put it out there. You allow people to see what you all are doing, content creation, right? Having the appropriate materials out there. We don't have people anymore. When I first started in this profession 20 plus years ago, we used to have to do 3, 4, 5 meetings with a family to have a conversation with them, learn about them. And really all it was it wasn't really about us learning about them. It was more about them learning about us to feel comfortable enough to do business with us and trust us. And because of this phrase, and they see what we've put behind it, right, in terms of this joy, it's everywhere. They can't miss it. So when they call in and talk to us or make an appointment with us, that first meeting, we know very short order whether there's somebody we're going to work with, and they already have made a decision typically before they've even walked in those doors. I can't tell you how many people know the story behind my company name. They've used the word joy in the first meeting. We all know people are doing that research. People are looking us up, Googling us, going on LinkedIn, going on Facebook, going on whatever your channel of choice is. They're finding about you, and they're making a decision. Is this somebody I know, like, and trust? Some of these people come in know more about my life than I do because we're putting it out there. I didn't even remember we put out a picture of my son graduating or whatever like that, right? They know more about me, but those are the types of bonds that you want to build with whomever you're working with, whether it's a client, whether it's a family, whether it's a follower, doesn't matter, a coaching client. These are the types of bonds that you want to build with those people because these are people, they're your people. You can work with them for a very, very long time. I kind of spoke about this already a little bit earlier, but again, this generational piece is so important, and I think even beyond that, right, from a referral standpoint, it's much easier. We get people coming in and already knowing how this joyful slant, our mantra is, that they come in and they're like, people have tough lives, right? And you have to bring joy to their lives too to make that happen, right? We have 2 families right now. It was ironic how they both came to us at the same time without knowing each other. But it's kind of unique because the wives are both healthy. The husbands both have this really debilitating disease. It's called body Lewy dementia. If you know anything about it, it's basically like a mix of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You don't wish it on anybody. It's a tough spot. But they both came in, met with us, did background, and they were like, individually, we're like, we love your joyful slant. They have a very tough life right now because they're managing kids, grandkids in some cases, and their husbands' lives. But they did their research about us, and we love your perspective. We want to be part of this. And then what we did was we even went one step further. These 2 people, remember, they didn't know each other. We put them together. They're both going through similar situations. One's actually about 1.5 years ahead of the other. So just like we learn from each other here, we put them in touch to learn from each other to help. And that's how you build relationships with families. And these families, we already know, even though they've been both working with us for like 8 or 9 months, we know their sons, we know their grandkids. One of them celebrated a 50th anniversary. And to add extra joy to their life, we had a video picture frame bought. We contacted the daughter. We loaded up 12 or 15 of their favorite pictures from the family and over the 50 years, and we hand-delivered it to their house. And we sat with her and her husband for a while. That's joyful. That's how we bring joy to people's lives. We make joy part of the culture throughout. This is not just me. I'm just the face right now at this point, quite frankly. We have a great team of people at Midland that really do the hard work and the heavy work. They're out there opening the accounts. They're setting up. They're wowing the families that we work with. And it's ingrained to the culture. And if you're going to take this stance, right, and be known as the whatever blank person or guy or gal or whatever it is, you have to live it. And if you have other people working with you that are helping you, you want them to feel it as well. You want them to lean into it. It's got to resonate throughout the whole organization, however big or however small it is. I have 6 people. That's it. But we have a pretty mighty team. And this joy theme culture is ingrained through each one of them. They bought in. They post family situations on themselves and use the same joy lines for themselves. It has to be bought in throughout. And as a leader, you have to make sure that you're impressing upon them 7, 8, 10, 15 times, because it takes a while to get that ingrained in the culture, not only from your team, but also those you serve as well. It's not something that you could just slap up there, say, this is our new tagline, this is what we're going to be doing for people going forward, and just expect it to happen. You have to make it part of your entire life and the infrastructure of everything you do. And this is showing you how we've done that. I mean, these are just posts. This person, Joe, let's chat about this when we're together in Orlando. Enjoy. Now, enjoy is a method that we've kind of created. I don't know that it existed beforehand. I don't know. But we started saying to people, enjoy. And we made the EN small and JOY big. And now people are taking that on in their own posts. I got this from a family we work with. This is a second generation of the family. He was in the Scotland Highlands this summer, and the wife took a picture of him from behind. Oh, geez. Took a picture of him from behind and texted this to our office. All right. Obviously, I'm not a tech guy. And texted this to our office. All right, I guess I can't do that again. Oh, boy. All right, forget the pointer. I'm done with that. This is somebody that we barely know. He's a second connection to me on LinkedIn. I'm not even a first connection. And he's adopted the joy and tagged me in a post. Similar over there. So you have to get that in the culture. You have to build that. Whatever it is for you, you have to have people feel that and know you for it. And then they're going to come and talk to you. This was how we incorporated it into my book. My book came out in 2023, Financial Planning Made Personal. And I'm not using the pointer. We use what did you do today that brought you joy as part of that mantra. And really that's what the book was all about. It was kind of what I talked to you all at the beginning about is I do not... There are certain people out there in the finance world who talk about everybody should be doing this and everybody should be doing that. And no, everybody shouldn't be doing everything. Everybody shouldn't be doing anything. That was really the impetus around the book and driving that joy factor, right? It's not about the numbers. It's about what the money, whatever your goals are, how do we drive joy? And it's more than, I hope you realize by now, it's more than just a tagline. It's really how we're living our lives. You know, we look at it as a family and say, hey, we want to do this. Is this going to bring us more joy or not? We've adopted it. Even my kids have adopted it. And they're 18 and 21. Try to get an 18 or 21 to adopt the tagline, you know. Barely get them to pay their, parking tickets, but... We've also seen a lot of joy-driven projects recently, and this was, our tagline kind of was a predecessor to this, but you've seen this happen. You've seen Luke Combs take Tracy Chapman's record from, I think, 1988, and other people have covered it before, and he turned it into a big hit. And if you've heard him talk about it, well, I should say it was a big hit. He kind of brought it to a new level because she already had a big hit, but I think he kind of exploded the ceiling on it with his version of it. But other people have covered it, and if you hear him talk about it, about why he did it, he wasn't doing it for notoriety. He wasn't doing it so it would be a huge success. He was doing it because it was a joyful song to him. It was a song that made him remember and emotionally feel like being a kid again, and he wanted to play it. And look what it turned into. And we've also seen that here. I don't know if you know, anybody knows Rebecca Yarros, Fourth Wing. She's a romance author. She's written one of the most phenomenal books that have come out in recent years. She's been a romance author for about 10 years plus. She never had a huge hit. She's been successful, but not a huge hit. She wanted to write a book within a different genre, and her total goal was she just wanted to sell enough copies so that she could write a subsequent book. And she's been on the New York Times best-selling books for like #1 for 13 weeks. And I'm getting that wrong. How many? 57 weeks. Okay, 57 weeks. Even more joyful. Her face in the book is on the side of buses. And all she did, her whole intent behind writing this book was just to sell enough copies to write the follow-up to the book. That was it. And think about us, right? Does anybody really, when you think about it, that piece of content that ends up going viral, right? It's not too much different than that, right? You don't go into creating that content with the intention that it's going to go viral, that it's going to go out of the park. It's like you create it because you enjoy it, you love it, and then all of a sudden it just takes off. And I should have just popped up the next piece here. So there's it 3 weeks on the list, 25 weeks, and this was in New York Times, in the Times Square billboard. Imagine your joy project being on the New York Times, in the Times Square billboard. That'd be pretty cool, I think. So finding joy, as I mentioned, my journey started here last year, 2023 FinCon. There's PT right there. It was our first year coming here, and it really opened my eyes to really lean into this joy thing. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Each one of you who's creating content, you're putting yourself out there every day. And that's very commendable. Now, what if you find something that you can really lean into? And, listen, it's a little intimidating, right? Putting yourself out there. It's a little intimidating having people yell out, what they did that found them joy. But it shows you that there's an emotional aspect that people want to feel. And you got to find what that is for you, and whatever your product is, whatever your service is, and get that emotion out of people. And you'll have a hugely successful. And I thank this conference, and I thank PT for helping me, lean into that. One of the things that I'll share with you all is, as a tandem to the book, we created a joy journal. It was really an act of love that we wanted to. We all hear about gratitude journals, and I'm sure many people in here use them. So we wanted to have something to go along with the mantra, with what our DNA is, and that's the joy journal. And I myself, every morning before I get started in the office, I write down at least 1 to 3 things that I was joyful about the day before. And it evokes it. It gets you thinking, starts the day off on a positive note. And you can get, the top QR code is our PDF downloadable. You could just download it for free. If you're a hard copy person like myself, you could also get it on Amazon and have it shipped to you, and utilize the journal that way. And you can answer for yourself, what did you do today that brought you joy? I didn't realize when we created the presentation that I was going to be at the end. I was hoping to be at the beginning. As you can see, enjoy your time. But I hope you all have enjoyed your time at FinCon. And, I'd be happy to, I'm an open book. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. One thing that I did leave out that it was probably very pertinent at the beginning is kind of how this all got started was when we created the podcast, The Midland Money Mindset. And I'm going to give her credit right here. This is my wife, Denise. She's our director of marketing. She came to me and said, you're going to be interviewing people on this podcast. You got to have one question. You have to have that one question that you ask each of your guests during the show. And I was like, okay, great. Because as I said before, you all are far more creative than I am. So I said, great, what's that question going to be? Because I have no idea. So she came up with, what did you do today that brought you joy? And that's really where it started. When I started interviewing podcast guests, and we made that the last question of every show, the response of, oh my God, what a great question. I never thought about this. I should be thinking about this every day. Why don't I think about this more often? And then it really just morphed into this thing that has gone into the book, the Joy Journal, and really has been threaded throughout everything that we do. So if you need the slides, my information is all on that QR code. You could also email me. These are all my socials, my social handles. I'm an open book, so I'm willing and interested in sharing with everybody. I learned so much from so many people that it's only right that I give back as well. And if anybody has any questions, I left a couple minutes at the end. I'd be happy to answer them. And if I can't answer them, we'll put my wife on the spot because it might be in her wheelhouse. Nothing dirty yet. No. Each person is it's kind of amazing where people's heads are at, and you kind of get a sense. And I think that in such the world that we're living in right now, that has a tendency to be a little bit more divisive than maybe 15 years ago, that just having people think about that question has been amazing. And I think the answer that took me back the most was definitely the Hershey Kisses, because I was not expecting that one, But I think since then I've become used to it, so now I anticipate it a little better. Not then though.
So what was the process, and how hard was it to get that tagline registered with being such a common word, joy?
Yeah. So luckily I have a good trademark attorney, so I reached out to them. I had no idea what was involved in the process. We have the whole phrase. That whole phrase is trademark. What did you do today that brought you joy? It was rather a simple process. They just did the search. We were able to do it. We had to show that we were supporting it and utilizing the trademark. And I wear it everywhere, and it's on our cups, everything. So it was an easy process, I think, and it wasn't. I guess depending on what your idea of expensive versus inexpensive is, I didn't think it was that expensive. It was like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 to get the trademark and defend it, and it's good for, I think, 10 years, and then you have to reapply. But get a good trademark attorney if you want. I'd be happy to share mine with you if that's helpful.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
I'm a money coach, and I think as a long-term investor, I get excited about funding my Roth IRA and the future potential of something, but I think my challenge is making it excitable and relevant to today, which I love this feeling of joy that you evoke. So do you have any advice for how to make something like investing for retirement 50 years out, how to make that exciting and show that it's beneficial for you to do that today by enjoying that today?
Yeah, I think you have to do that two ways, right? Everybody hear that question? You're trying to get somebody to fund a Roth IRA, right, that they may not be using for 40 years or so. How do you make that joyful and get them to see that? I think you have to do two things. I think it makes it more joyful if you can get them to understand what they're doing today that brings them joy, and making sure that they're not taking all of their free cash and putting in that Roth IRA for 40 or 50 years, because that may not be as joyful, right? And I think the answer to that question also changes over time. You have to get them to understand and see what would you do if this money grew from X to Y? If you were then 50 years later, what would bring you joy by having that money? What's the benefit to you, right? And the reality is their answer in their 20s is not going to be the same answer in their 30s or their 40s. It's constantly changing. We have certain families that answer changes yearly, depending on their health, their situation. It's constantly changing environment. But, I think depending on how they're motivated, it could be a money thing. You could show them like a calculation of how much that grows. Or you can show them if they have joy in X, if they could be able to do that 10X by saving that money. You have to relate it back to something that's relatable to them. And that's going to be so different for so many people. Any other questions? No? Nobody's running out of here to get drinks or anything, eh? Well, listen, I thank you so much for attending. Like I said, I'm an open book. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your time in Atlanta. Thank you so much.